We're live?
Yes.
Okay. Nice shirt, Darren.
One of the better ones.
I reckon it's new.
I'm Darren Amke, and this is Carla Diaz-Waterwitz. We're the co-facilitators of FOMENT. And it's our privilege tonight to welcome you to the Great Barossa Debate. And I hope it is the Great Barossa Debate. But if it's not the Great Barossa Debate, at least it will be a Great Barossa Debate. If it's the Great Barossa Debate, they'll be talking about it for hundreds of years. So here's hoping. Before we start tonight, I'd like to acknowledge that the land we meet on today is the traditional lands for the Ngadjuri people, and we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. We also acknowledge the Ngadjuri people as the custodians of the land on which we meet today, and that their cultural and heritage beliefs are still as important to the living Ngadjuri people today. We also pay respects to the cultural authority of Aboriginal people attending or watching from other areas of Australia and South Australia. It's my privilege to introduce FOMENT. Before I do that, I'd actually like to thank a small but important group of people and organisations, and those are the people that have made FOMENT possible. I'd like to start by acknowledging the support of the South Australian Government through the Minister for Primary Industries and Regional Development, without whom FOMENT for the next 2 years, and in fact for the last year, would not have been possible. We'd like to acknowledge Barossa Australia. Barossa Australia getting on board have actually made a huge difference to what FOMENT is. And I'll talk just briefly about the Barossa Immersion Week this week. But the Barossa Australia has gotten on board through a partnership with the Barossa Grain and Wine Association, Regional Development Australia Barossa, Tourism Barossa, and Yalumba. We'd also like to acknowledge the sponsorship of Wine Australia, again, who've helped us to make this something that's truly national from an Australian perspective, and the Entrepreneurs Facilitator Scheme for Barossa, York and Mid-North. And also thank you very much to the Barossa campus, in whose facilities we are today, and whose offices we've somewhat noisily overtaken for the last few days. Tech startups are not quiet. And running a tech startup and developing a tech startup and getting them to through an accelerator is not a quiet process either. I'll just tell you a little bit about FOMENT, and it's FOMENT, F-O-M-E-N-T. FOMENT means to stir up or to create a revolution. And when we came up with FOMENT, our idea was very much around stirring up a revolution and actually increasing the amount of tech that was available to the Australian wine sector. So we're here to foment a revolution. We're here to ensure that the Australian wine sector, that the Australian tourism sector, and where those two sectors meet, are at the front of the uptake and use of technology in delivering great experiences and great products. This year, we went mad. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, both of us should be put out to pasture immediately. We decided that because it was COVID, that was no good reason not to go ahead with FOMENT Accelerator for the year. Now, an accelerator, for those who don't know, is a place where you bring all these crazy people who want to create companies that use digital technology to grow rapidly and change the world. So we've got 12 of them with us this week, and they're not all here in person. We have participants in Canada, California, France, and other overseas countries like Melbourne, as well as, well, they're not all just in Melbourne. I think, as far as I can tell, they all look pretty impressed. I reckon they're all in Melbourne. So this year, seriously, I don't know of any other accelerator that has done this, and it has been a lot of fun and a lot of peddling. I wish I could say that we've been like ducks, graciously moving across the surface of the water as our legs move madly underneath us, and nobody noticed all of the gears and cogs and machination behind it. I reckon I've got my beak wet a couple of times. So it hasn't been quite as glorious as a pair of ducks gliding across water, of course. It has for one of us. Now, I'll stop talking in a moment, but we're in our Barossa Immersion Week, and this is something that within the partnership that we've got with Barossa Australia, is something that we really wanted to do with this, because the purpose of FOMENT is really threefold. The first one is that we grow tech companies in Australia for wine and tourism that take our wine and tourism sectors along with them into the great new digital world that we've all been discovering at an unfortunate rate over the last 7 or 8 months. The second one is that we attract companies who are developing these great digital technologies from around the world to understand the Australian wine and the Australian tourism sectors, so that as they develop these great technologies, they're native to the businesses in our country and they take them up as though they were grown here from within the sector. And the third reason is to bring the operators, the tourism operators, the wine producers, the grape producers along for the ride, so that these technologies become part of their journey. And that's what brings us here tonight to the Great Barossa Debate. So far this week, and I'm not going to list everything we've done, but we started at the Bush Gardens with a welcome to country. Louisa Rose introduced us to the Barons of the Barossa. I only stole 3 or 4 bottles of wine as I left. We've been to the Yalumba Nursery, Greenock Creek Farm. We're yet to go to Tobrek and Sepulchre. We've been to a distillery. We're going to wineries. We've been to the Bulyara Winery, which I was watching that particular one, unfortunately, on the live feed, and it seemed to have blown people away, as well as having met some great growers over here. That brings us to tonight, and I'm going to shut up in just a moment. Tonight, we're debating technology is the solution to the Barossa, continuing to build its title as Australia's global food and wine region. I have no envy. I have no envy for the positive side of this debate. I have no envy for the negative side of this debate, and I'm quite relieved not to be involved at all. But what I'd like to do now is hand over to my partner in crime, Carla Diaz-Wadowitz, to introduce the moderator and the teams. Thanks, Carla. I'll start.
Thanks, Aaron. Partner in crime is always a good description of the crazy idea we had to actually not only come up with a global hybrid accelerator, but also with a hybrid Barossa Debate, where you have speakers here with us and speakers online that are part of the same teams. So we'll have 2 teams, and I would like to introduce the teams as well. But first, I would like to start by introducing this amazing MC moderator that we have behind us. And as you can see, a unique character from the Barossa and a true pearl. Winemaker and and also Barons of Barossa's Barossa Winemaker of the Year 2020. So thank you so much, Stuart, for joining us tonight, and we're looking forward for your amazing contribution to the event. And thank you for joining this tech revolution in the wine and tourism industry. And let's introduce the teams. So we have here in our audience, so maybe for the viewers will be the opposite, the team 4. So for the theme, and just reminding you about the theme, it's technology is the solution to the Barossa continuing to build its title as Australia's global food and wine region. So the team, for the team 4, the argument, we have, first of all, Matthew McCulloch from Lake Melville Winery. Welcome, thank you. Another panel from the Barossa, Jess Gradrich, which we have seen on Sunday, oh my God, time is flying, at Crowdorf Farm, and it was an amazing tour of the place with all the participants in person and online. Absolutely loved it, and you can catch it on the live stream on YouTube if you type FOMENT Crowdorf Great Farms. So you'll be able to find the live stream on YouTube for that visit, which was amazing. Then also for the team 4, we have here, first of all, Dave, we have here Grant Baker from Borough Markets from South Australia, one of this year's FOMENT participants. Thank you so much, Grant, and we'll see how we got today with a 2-minute rehearsal. And online, we have another Pearl from the FOMENT program, Dave Carter from Deep Planet. He's based in the US. A company to watch out for, Deep Planet, providing amazing solutions to wine growers. And Deep Planet is also already has clients here in Australia and is looking to forward to grow here. And actually, Dave is Australian. He just happened to be stranded in California. Okay, moving on. So well done for a round of applause for Team 4. Come on, guys. And here for the team against. Let's start with Sam Holmes from the company Negotiates. Welcome, Sam. You can everyone is doing applause. Thank you very much. And here also in the room with us and another Barossa business, we have Janelle Zerg from Z Wines. Welcome. Here. And then the 2 other speakers from Team Against are online. So we first have Paul Rosthorn. Where are you, Paul? There you are. From the company Air Guides, a tourism company based in Victoria. Hi, Paul. And then we have Armando Hurtado in California from the company Sayunity, who is providing solutions for voice for wineries and tourism businesses starting in California, but obviously wanting to scale to countries such as Australia. Welcome, Armando, and good luck as well. And that's it for the introduction of the 2 teams here that are going to present amazing arguments. Remember, there is a 2-minute limit for all of you, and you will be stopped. So ensure fairness. Just go on. Australian time. It's actually a tech wizard. Anyway, so that's it for the introduction of the team. Now, what it's left for me to tell you, it's about the voting system. And it's quite simple. So you just need to have an iPad, a laptop, a mobile phone, and get onto slido.com and vote. So slido.com. Once you get in there, you type the hashtag T for tourism, G for growing, B for beer, and D for distraction. So TGBD. And then once you type that hashtag, you will be taken to, you just have to click on next, and then you will be taken to the live connection, and you just can vote immediately. So once the teams finish, all of the speakers finish their arguments, you will then be able to vote either for the team for or for the team against. So don't forget to do that to make the voting more interactive.
Obviously, the technology is not going to work, so how can you vote for us?
That's an argument already that you are putting forward.
That's right.
You can also scan the QR code on the screen. So we also have a QR code that you can use to conduct, to basically vote. So we are in 2020 is the year of elections around the world. Voting is important, and the Barossa debate is as important as any national elections. So we are looking forward to the results. Remember, there is no future without tech, and tech, what all we're trying to do is that tech becomes a friend of humans. I'm not going into more details because otherwise it looks like I'm siding with the team, and that's not the purpose. I'm independent, totally independent. Okay, so you know the YouTube link, live links you can follow us on, and please stay with us for the whole session because there's a lot of surprises, and I mean we have Stewie. And just by itself will keep the show going forever. So thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the evening, and we look forward to the debates. Thank you. And the stage is yours, Julie.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, present in the Barossa, interstate, Victoria included, around the world, wherever you are using technology. Welcome to arguably what we believe is probably one of the most beautiful wine regions on the planet, if not just the planet. The Barossa has a history that spans back to the early 1840s when the first Lutherans came out here fleeing persecution. They planted vines, and here we are today, 5 and 6 generations later, again producing, we believe, some of the most world-class red and white wines for you to enjoy no matter where you are. So it's pretty fitting in this weird world we live in, I think, where we talk about technology, and of course, to reiterate, technology is the solution to the Barossa, continuing to build its title as Australia's global food and wine region. That is tonight's topic. You've got two amazing groups put together for and against. We'll be able to listen to their arguments. But pay no attention to Sam Holmes. He's kind of here as a bit of a charity. I will try to keep time. You will be asked at about 30 seconds to go and keep an eye on it. After that, you'll be asked to vote for Donald Trump. So without any further ado, remember to vote. Follow the pop-ups is the little thing for tonight. And of course, should the technology not work, as Sam has rightly pointed out, homing pigeons are available at your nearest post office. Just scan their little QR code right on their wings, release them, and we'll get them in the next few days. Short of that, I would suggest who wants to go first? Do we have a particular order? Do we toss a coin? Or arbitrarily, do we just say that the team 4 should probably go first? So with that in mind, that technology is the solution to the Barossa continuing to build its title as Australia's global food and wine region. I would invite the first for the 4. Would that be Jess Greatwich to come up and speak? And Jess also, sorry Jess, you'll be speaking first or something? Wonderful. Now just a reminder here, you will be listening to a woman who once said that all she wanted to be in life was the first female Prime Minister of Australia. That role has been taken, but she's more than happy to take second place as the next. Jess Greatwich, if you'd like to take the mic.
Thanks so much. I didn't realise that I was going first, so this is astonishingly exciting development. Right, start the clock, yeah.
No, that's okay. We're on 7 months' time.
Hello, everybody. Hi, everybody that's here in person. Hello, everybody that's here through the wonders of the internet. I think it's quite funny that I'm on the affirmative team, so I'm drawing on all of my talents from being the captain of debate in Year 10 because everyone who knows me. Oh, yeah. Well, anyone that knows me and knows my business knows that the most sophisticated piece of technology at Cordova Creek Farms is a stapler. So this is really going to test the team. So technology is the solution to the Barossa's continuing to build its title as Australia's global food and wine region. First of all, I think the fact that we use the word solution implies that the area is a problem to be solved or a challenge to be overcome. I'd like to rephrase that by saying that It's a challenge to be invited and be excited about. The Barossa, in my personal humble opinion, and anyone who knows me knows this is the case, is undoubtedly Australia's global food and wine region. The challenge I think that we have is to maintain that positioning. We don't have time this evening to go into all of the reasons why that's the case. I'm not going to use the C word this evening, but my argument is that we are the premier region because we have these things that are rare and true, have heart, we have provenance, we have things that are genuine and authentic in a global world where those things are increasingly rare. We have real experiences, real people that you can reach out and touch in the Barossa. My business is a really lovely example of that. We only make wine from grapes that we grow ourselves. The only place in the world that you can buy our wine is from the little stone cellar door in Cronenbourg. So these places exist in the Barossa. You can go and meet Phil Lehman in his shed. You can go into the underground cellars. You can actually meet the people who grow the grapes and make wine. It's very real and it's authentic. We have that here in the Barossa. It's precious and it's rare, and we know that that's what people want to experience when they're here in a global food and wine region. So the challenge or the problem. All right, so the challenge is that if we can't bring people here at the moment because of that dirty seabed, then the key, the bridge, the solution to that is technology. Thank you. I'd like to just quickly argue that the current tech that we have is adequate, but what I'm really excited about is the future of that technology. And I met someone the other day when I was showing them our vineyard that told me that in the future there'll be a robot that can prune our bush vines. And I'm holding you to that because anyone who's ever pruned bush vine will be very excited about that indeed. So technology is the solution and the future. And I, for one, am excited to be in the epicenter of that fomented revolution here in the Barossa.
Bravo. I like that. I really like, Jess, your use of the term challenge as a substitute for solution. Remember, by the pop-ups, don't forget to vote, be nice to your mother, and on the home pigeon. For the against, the first speaker, I believe, will be, I've been wanting to say this all night, Armando Hurtado, who is currently residing in the US. Armando, are you live for us to listen to you? Sorry, that was a bit Russian. Check Armando, 1, 2.
Check, Mike, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Houston, we have no problems. Over to you.
All right, so I'm here to talk to you about how many followers you have, how many likes do you get, is it the perfect selfie? All this relates to social media and big tech companies, and they are having a huge impact on our society and the younger generations to come. And not only on the society, but also on your brands. As a brand, you do not have any power as when your brand appears or how it appears. It's all part of the algorithm. We're all a number on this giant algorithm, and we don't have the power, but they have the power to manipulate us and even to radicalize communities. So when we're trying to achieve greater things with tech, how is this really helping us? We've given them the power, we've let them infiltrate our lives and our families' lives. And the employees that work at these giant tech companies, they don't even let their kids on it. So why should we even let them into our lives? So really think about it when you're going to let giant tech companies into our lives and just destroy lives. Think about it.
We'll take it.
That's it.
Time is not substitutable. Turn the mic on. Armando, I really like your use of the power to manipulate us, that we are all somehow trapped within an algorithm, where an algorithm running the algorithm says it will manipulate us. Is there anyone in the room that refuses to be powered by an algorithm? I prefer to be powered by schnitzels and beer. No? And wine. Yes, it does take a lot of schnitzels and beer to make great wine, just a reminder. Anyone else really like to be embedded within an algorithm? No? We already are.
You see the Matrix?
Yes, Armando, you make a very good point. Thank you very much for that. So that would mean that we'll have the second speaker for the four. Do I have any volunteers?
I reckon it's me.
I reckon you might be right. In which case, I would call Matthew McCullough to the microphone. Who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is still the only guy I know who's ever won a Gandalf lookalike competition. Now, that gives you an idea of the depth and breadth of that competition, if that were the case. Matthew.
Is the Lord of the temple.
You will not pass. Right, good evening everyone. I'm going to shoot all this into 2 minutes, so I'll crack on. Modern vineyards and wineries work far differently than those a few decades ago, primarily because of advances in technology. Advanced devices, precision agriculture, and robotic systems allow businesses to improve profitability, efficiency, safety, and being more environmentally friendly. Given the plethora of wine varieties, a market which is far from consolidated and highly competitive, with low consumer switching costs, easy access to quality wine and information about wine, the demands on winemakers are only increasing. The Barossa is just one region in a fragmented wine sector, and to ensure the Barossa continues to build on its reputation as Australia's global food and wine region, technology is the solution. For my 2 minutes, I will focus on grape growing. Suppose you subscribe to the truism that great wine is made in the vineyard, and that Stewie doesn't actually do much in the office. In that case, the technology involved in precision viticulture, based on the observation and measurement of environmental data to optimize crop production and minimize environmental impacts and risk, is the solution. The core concept has its roots in the French notion of terroir, the specific environmental conditions that give a wine its unique character. Its use informs management practices appropriate to local vineyard conditions, which influence grape quality and quantity, such as soil, topography, and the microclimates, etc. There are many different technologies for use in the vineyard, including global positioning systems, weather stations, satellite and airborne remote sensing, geographic information systems, digital elevation models, high-resolution soil surveys, wireless sensor networks. Fascinating. Yeah! Distributed sensor networks and decision support systems play an essential role in grape production, with monitoring of the critical environmental factors in the vineyard, such as temperature and humidity, solving management problems and facilitating decision-making. Technology provides growers and winemakers with information to help with yield prediction, soil nutrition analysis, and forecasting disease development, allowing them to harvest grapes at optimal ripeness. Don't wait, Sam. There are even devices that use near-infrared wavelengths to measure grapes level and patterns of cell death. Fascinating. Determined by machine learning algorithms which go beyond assessing acids and sugars and subjective berry tasting. Estimating yield early in the season is particularly important to help plan logistics, including resource allocation, such as water and fertilizer, vineyard and cellar staff numbers, and how many barrels you have to buy, etc., etc. Measuring factors like canopy growth, bunch and berry numbers and weight, and extrapolating that out to the whole vineyard may only be 60 to 70% accurate. By combining vineyard-specific historical data, inputs, soil, weather, yield, and so on, with big data and machine learning, that can increase the accuracy to around 80 to 90%.
20 seconds.
Australia's water security has already been significantly influenced by climate change. Rainfall patterns are shifting and the severity of floods and droughts has increased. Technology, including multi-spectral and thermal infrared cameras, national drones, can detect a wine's water stress status by taking detailed pictures as they fly overhead, leading to more efficient fertilizer application and irrigation management. I hope this brief discourse, that went over time, demonstrates that if Barossa is to continue to build on its reputation as Australia's global food and wine region, because of the quality of what is grown and made here, then technology is the solution. And to finish, I'll quote John Lasseter of Disney Pixar, who directed Cars and Toy Story, amongst others. which I believe is just as relevant to winemaking. The art challenges the technology, and the technology inspires the art. There we go.
Is it open to me, or do we all need to stop and have a cigarette after that? Oh my God. I tell you what, Matthew McCullough, there's a lot of people that say you've got no talent, and a lot of them are right, but
I think he's riding in the tour across.
well, Matthew's use of precision, viticulture, terroir, instrumentation, I believe would make even Michael J. Fox on Back to the Future look stupid. I'm very, very intrigued as to where you went with that one, Matthew. I won't say bombs up after about the first 30 seconds. Planning, resources, bunch numbers, berry numbers, the machine that goes ping. Yes, I was very impressed. So obviously, with the against now having another chat, it could be time to, what do we need to do? Do we need, let's check polls? Shall we check polls? No? Yeah, well.
I tried it,
Come in under students. What we'll do then is we'll call the next speaker for the against. So Janelle Zerk has got a hand up. She'd like to come out. Now, Janelle's from Z Wine. It is singular, not plural, by the way. They do make more than one wine, but they come to Z Wine. So if you're in California, it would be Z Wine. If you're in Australia, it's Z, which is often just the difference between Sesame Street or Play School. Janelle Zerk.
Hi, and thanks for having me. Just Great Witch, you've exposed yourself in the first sentence. A stapler? Really? A stapler? Okay. And Matt? Quality equals demand equals profitability. If you decrease the accuracy of your yield, the accuracy of your yield predictions, you will kill pub conversations, full stop. Where's the fun in that? Terrible. Technology, no. The oldest known remains of wine, powdered residue in pottery jars date back more than 8,000 years. The popularity of wine has grown exponentially for over 8,000 years. I think it's safe to say that this trend will continue. Barossa is at the forefront due to our dedication to share our stories with consumers and give our world-class food and wines a real sense of place and character. Wine is more than just a consumable product that graces our shelves. Wine is and should be sold as an emotional and intellectual experience. Knowing and understanding where your food and wine comes from helps people appreciate and respect that it is not indispensable. The gap between farm and table can easily be lost, and thanks to technology, kids can't even connect the dots of where cheese comes from in the supermarket. Technology only serves to widen this gap. Barossa has the likes of Rockford Winery. It is positioned in the protected historic settlement zone of Condorf, where the original German settlers, my ancestors, over 175 years ago, came with nothing and prospered, especially in the area of grape growing and wine. Lots of names. As one of the most globally reviewed wineries, Rockford, amongst other wineries similar in values, Langmore, Condorf Creek Farm, is a prime example of what keeps the Barossa unique and in the sights of the consumer. The vines are hand-pruned, the grapes are basket pressed, the customers line up at the door for a taste. If you're lucky, you can get on the list and receive a paper flyer. The best clients still come and see you in person. The Barossa is enjoyed today because of the history and that we have the best in the world. You can also try all the traditional German recipes and foods. The current winemaking trend is to refute technology, and consumers are getting smarter and driving this demand. Old is new again, and we're consciously reverting back to fermenting in cement, seasoned oak, terracotta, and foras, and allowing the vineyards to express themselves uncompromised. Consumers crave these slow wines. In the absence of all technology, Barossa food and wine will still prosper globally because of its established reputation, It's also our human instincts of our curiosity and need to be connected to a sense of place and explore what is idyllic. Okay, I'm just going to wrap it up. We're living in a self-sufficient, prospering community.
30 seconds, but Matthew had 20 minutes. So.
Right. It's definitely, the Barossa is definitely idyllic to outsiders. Even if you're overseas and you cannot physically travel here, just drinking, having a sip of Barossa Valley Shiraz can transport your mind and your emotions, and this is a power that we need to harness. The connection of where the Barossa food and wine comes from will always succeed over technology, over and above. It is this serene lifestyle of purity, farming, self-sufficiency that sees our community prosper. That is what consumers buy into, along with the amazingly high standard of farming and winemaking that has been passed down through generations as some of the most enviable produce on the planet. And I just want to add, to sum it up, hashtag, you can't serve technology in a glass.
Very true. Cannot serve technology in a glass.
Go.
Exactly. Janelle, terms that you use, which I find really, again, I think, you speak to the passion of the Barossa with things like the history, the tradition, the fact that kids have no idea where cheese comes from. But things like widening the gap with the use of technology, whereas refuting technology, looking for the bind, looking for the purity. I think they're valid points, especially in this day and age where consumers are looking for something they can use all five senses on, rather than just the two of audio and visual with technology. Well done. So I'm still getting over the cigarette after Matthew. I think it would be a good time now to check, because I know that you've all been furiously voting, typing, QR coding, hashtagging. Look, I'm not a millennial. I don't get any of this shit. I just have to say it.
Those commoners are so. We have 1983 called them what they call those back.
Yes. It's a tribute to Eddie Van Halen. So with that, Hannah, if I could just check in with you to see, here we go. At the moment, with the use of technology, Team 2 in against is coming in at 71%, whereas Team 1 with the fours are only at 29%. So it would appear that the technology is working fabulously well, isn't it? Yes, but then again, as we've seen in the lead up to national elections and all sorts of other things, never believe the early polls, because a landslide could be just around the corner, making the Barossa great again. See what I did there? It would now then be judicial to call for the next speaker in the 14. Now, with Dave Carter in California and Grant Baker still to go, should we go to the other side of the planet, speaking of national elections? Here's Dave Carter all the way from California, who will speak to again the four side of the equation. Dave, you can have given that there's probably a time lapse of half an hour to the Barossa, some would say a whole generation, you can have 3 minutes.
No worries. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, look, the technology's working. That's great. All right. I looked at those polls. They look like fake news to me. As we've already heard from Matthew and Jess, there's an unprecedented wave of technology and innovation hitting the world and the wine industry in the Barossa. Hey, I'm Dave Carter. I'm a founder of a small, not one of those large tech companies that helps growers in the vineyard accurately understand their yields, monitor and predict health, and increase their yields. And we're banking our whole business and future on the Barossa continuing to adopt and lead new technologies. I'm going to take you through a journey of technologies and innovation for the wine industry. Janelle says that Barossa doesn't have a history of technology. It's nothing to do with technology, but I'm going to show you that Barossa's been steeped in technology from the past, the present, and now the future. So the Barossa has a proud history of innovation. You know, in the 19th century, when phylloxera was destroying most of the vineyards in Europe, South Australian vineyard owners have much to thank for pioneering Barossa wine families. Many of who came up with a vision to establish quarantine systems to prevent phylloxera from entering South Australia. Creating the phylloxera board, a new invention, which now is Vine Health Australia. Fast forward to today in the present, the Barossa Grape and Wine are bringing new inventions to the same problem, trialing geofencing to stop tourists accidentally wandering into vineyards when they're on their regional wine tour of Australia and slightly drunk over one side. Never before have we needed innovations in technologies to respond like we do with the current COVID epidemic. We're already adapting. Who would have thought you can catch a farmer on a Zoom? Moving to virtual tastings, storytelling, and tourism experiences. Look, the world is changing fast, and unlike my friends across the way, we're not stuck in the past. There's an unprecedented wave of technology right above me, about to hit. Will the Barossa be watching a new powerhouse emerge to take their place on the wine capitals of the world? Or will the Barossa be surfing the wave of technology innovation using inspiration from the past? I'm going to bet on the Barossa.
You can only do that with technology. Wonderful, Dave. Like your accent too, it's really come along nicely. Dave, you talk about history of innovation, and I must admit your point in particular about the adoption early of innovation and your example of phylloxera, the dreaded scourge of vineyards around the world, and our ability to quarantine early and even come up with things like the phylloxera board, protocols to protect our vineyards. I think a very valid point that sometimes we forget in history that it may not have been technologically advanced according to today, but at the time it was absolutely world-beating and innovative. And another beautiful example of, once again, the Barossa taking charge, leading the way and shining a beacon for the rest of us to follow. We had a look at our polls before, but I think it's also pertinent that should there be questions, be it from the floor or be it from the other side of the world, if someone could just go outside and see if any of these pigeons have arrived. Has anyone got any questions? Would you like me to ask questions? You'll probably be uncomfortable if I ask you questions, so I put it to you, no. We're happy? Really? When you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Old school, some days. Given that Dave's just had a bit of a red hot crack from the other side of the planet and leaves us with one yet to come for the full course, being Mr. Baker here on my right, it probably now be the time that we get another guest, yes, yeah, to come up and have a crack. Have we got any more guests that we need? Of course, we've got Paul Rosethorn, who's sitting in. Paul, how do we pronounce it? Rosethorn.
Yep.
Hello.
Not even close, but not even close, but yeah, let's stick with that.
Yeah.
I'm good.
So
Stuck in Melbourne.
The powers of technology. So if you could just power up the internet machine thingy, and if you could give us a couple of minutes on why you believe what you do.
Do I hear a biased judge before I start off?
Oh, yeah, probably. Valid point. 2 points, Gryffindor.
Technology is just a bunch of empty promises. Remember the paperless office or flying skateboards, and don't even get me started on this online utopia, otherwise called blockchain. These tech companies hire slick sales staff and marketing tactics to trick you into letting them into your business. But before you know it, they've spread their tentacles like a swarm of locusts. They use a tactic that investors just love, called making their products sticky, which basically means it will cost you so much money to get rid of them, you're stuck forever. Now, I'm from the tourism industry, and let me tell you how it went down. Early days, companies like Booking.com and Expedia offered to list you for 5 to 10% commission. Well, that all sounded pretty good, didn't it? Now, let me tell you what happened next. They made a lot of money. So they brought every company doing a similar thing. And remember that friendly salesman? Well, he's gone. And remember that 5 to 10% commission? Well, that's more like 35% now. And worst of all, you don't even own your customer anymore. It's Booking.com's. They make so much money, they spend over $11 billion a year on marketing, which basically means that even if your customer searches for your company online, you will be below Booking.com in the search results. So why is this relevant to wine businesses in the Barossa? Well, because this model is being repeated in any industry these vultures see revenue. Ask the companies who decided to sign up to this little known tech company called Amazon. Initially, it was all happy days, this friendly salesman called Bezos, who promised new customers for this small commission on your products. Fast forward to today, not only has Amazon raised their commission on your products, they now tell you what they're going to sell your product for online. Oh, and it gets better. They now sell a copy of your product, which they list higher than your product in their search results. And if you want to go above them, well, you just got to pay more commission. So the next time some smooth sounding tech salesperson rings you up, look around your office at all the stacks of paper and remember all the empty promises. Own your customer and keep control of your business. Say no to tech.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Did anyone else get a bit of a wow factor from Paul there? Yeah, fantastic. That was awesome. Paul Sampson. Mind you, it is a bit later enough. For those in Australia, that was episode 5 of The Gruen. Paul opened up by talking about empty promises and finished with empty promises. He also talked about spreading one's tentacles. He also talked about being sticky. At that point, I didn't know where we were going to go, if it was going to turn into a sort of a letters to the editor from Hustler magazine, or whether or not it was going to go anywhere else. But then vultures, conspiracy theories, margins increasing, all driven by technology. I think, Paul, you make, again, a very valid point that if we lose sight of our customer and that they are a genuine person, we leave them in the middle of the village to be pillaged. Would that be fair? Exactly. Excellent. A little bit of alliteration never goes astray, does it? Amazon, what started as just 4 trees became quite a large forest. It's an analogy, it's not a real story. It's not like this is not a documentary. I'm not David Attenborough. Okay, we've had Paul speak for the against. So in a normal debate, you would then go to the other team, which are the fours. And I think Grant Baker, you would be our next speaker. And by speaking fourth, you would be finishing up the debate for the fours. Just out of interest, Grant's an interesting cat. He said to us one day, when he was growing up, he wanted to be a lawyer or an underwater helicopter pilot. Turns out that one of them is a very, very specialty skill set, and the other one requires the ability to chase ambulances, neither of which he was good at. But here it is today, Grant to talk to us.
I don't even understand why we're having this debate. It's crazy. If it wasn't for technology, how many wineries in the Barossa would actually be open today? We've just been through COVID. It's been e-com stores that have kept us online. It's been our online sales. It's been driving those processes through. But more than that, it's around how we've been able to do things like Jess talks about the fact that her top end of technology is a stapler. She ran a virtual wine tasting on Facebook.
Yeah,
and that virtual wine tasting actually brought people into her winery. And that person then came to your door and bought your wine because of the thing.
You're right, I forgot. Accountability.
There are so many tools out there at the moment that we can use to actually drive technology forward to make sure the Barossa survives. From using things like geotagging and geofencing so that when people come to the Barossa, we understand who they are, we understand who's coming, we can go and find other people like them. We can actually take our products, we can take our services, we can take all the amazing hotels, the foods, the wines, to the rest of the world and let them know who they are, and let them know who we are, and let them discover us. And this is what technology does. It allows us to identify our perfect guest, our perfect client, and make sure that we can connect. Giselle's completely right when she says that you can't pour a glass of technology, but Rydell used technology to create the perfect glass. And we should be thinking about what that means for the taste of our wine. Technology tells us where great wine is made. When people come to the Barossa, we're able to track them afterwards, we can speak to them, we can keep them in contact, we can make sure that we can continue to communicate with them, we can give them our history. Another story that Jess quietly forgot to mention is the fact that she runs an amazing history of Krondorf, where people come in and talk about the fact that they were part of the generations of the original Lutherans that came out. Could you imagine us putting that online? Taking that history to the world, letting people all over Australia be able to share their stories, tell their part of that. And technology makes that real. That's how we actually can do that. And that brings the authenticity, the passion, the roots, the actual raw culture of the Barossa to the rest of the world. Technology is not about algorithms and about being smart and clever. It's about how we use technology to understand what we believe in, what we mean, what we stand for, and how we believe what we stand for. And Paul, you are absolutely right. I mean, the idea of using things like voice to do, virtual wine tastings, who would want to do that? I hear what you're saying. I'm sorry on your behalf. Amanda, algorithms, yeah, we do use them. The downside is that they actually tell us who our customers are. They tell us how we can reach them. They tell us how you can run your new platform. I'm so glad I was on this side of the debate. Guys, it's simple. Barossa is a leader of technology worldwide. We use it every day in so many ways, we just don't realize it. The point is, it's that technology that's going to keep the Barossa at the forefront of the wine industry in the world. It's going to make sure we retain our position as the global leader of wine production, the manufacturer of wine production, the driver of tourism, and the delivery of unbelievable, amazing experiences of what the Barossa can deliver. For me, there is no doubt technology is the way forward for Barossa.
Very eloquent for a man who never made it as an underwater helicopter pilot. Done fabulously well. I do like the analogy and the example of the virtual tasting, which has also been driving our consumer to come and see it. You did talk about tools to drive technology. Now, if you've driven around the Barossa, you'll know that there's a lot of tools that drive around the Barossa. One of them has got a Mustang and he's sitting off to my left. Sorry, that's a Barossa joke. Geotagging, geofencing, G.I. Joe. No, you didn't have him. The sharing, the marriage of tech and people, I think was a really nice point. So the forwards have come to the end. The against have one more to speak. They'll be finished off tonight by Mr. Sam Holmes of the Principality of Krondorf, who once wanted to be an automotive line assembly worker, but it turns out that his job was actually made redundant by technology, and I think he still has a little bit of a bone to pick about it. And now this is a guy, the only guy in the Barossa that can make a puffer jacket, looks skinny, and who once fell off a ladder, landed 40 metres away, and half an hour later, because the wind was blowing from the south. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Sam Holmes to finish the against. 30 seconds.
No, full stop timer. Scars are there to prove it. I would have, normally I've used my iPad, but today the power went down at work and it wouldn't, like, I can see some typing and I had to stop. So, but Stu, if you can keep time, because my watch is also flat and your Casio should keep me going there. Jess, I'm glad you've got a stapler. I mean, your fast-paced Insta lifestyle up at Crondolph Road there. You did mention it's all about touch, so which is not swipe. We don't need more people here. We just need quality people here. People who want to love, who want to get involved, want to see it, feel it and touch it, not swipe it. Matt, big words, Matt McCulloch. Advanced wineries, stuff he said. The only thing I understood in Munster was terroir. But all I see out of places like Burgundy in France is a return to amphoras, a return to horse, a return to biodynamics, a return to less soil compaction through machinery, etc., by working their mid-rows in the old-fashioned way. It seems that everything that I see in the Northern Hemisphere, where they're now commanding the highest prices per litre per bottle in the world, is all about taking it back a notch or two. The one thing that does worry me, we've talked about wine a lot here, there was the mention of food. The more technology, the less winemakers, the less grape growers. If we honestly did just drone the world out and get rid of the grape growers, there'd be no bakeries left in South Australia. There'd be no butchers left in South Australia. I mean, grape growers and winemakers equals bakeries and butcheries. We need more of it. Dave, geofencing. What about a fence? Fences work. Virtual tastings. Maybe the crops don't fool us. I have a plan. It's real. It's lovely. Sticky ball. I agree. Let's own the customer. Let's use our past to own our future. Jess, your tasting online. You do realise that Mark Zuckerberg has siphoned all your information right now. Dan Murphy's is going out to your customers and they are offering your same wine at half the price right now. And Riedel is still making sense. And technology doesn't make it real. What makes it real is what is real. Let's stick to just being real.
Sam talking about quality people. That's an interesting point coming from you. I saw an opportunity and I took it. The Northern Hemisphere, going back a notch or two, everything old is new again. Yes, Brettanomyces is new again. But the whole concept of going back in time to a simpler, more easier, it's not just a lifestyle, it's also about the quality of wine, the quality of the people, the quality of, you talked about touch. Obviously, please stay away from me in this COVID environment. And as for possibly one of the best rebuttals, which is great, coming from a bloke that actually doesn't have a butt, right? That he could actually, it's true, someone stole it, have a look. Hashtag buy Sam a butt. It's a genuine charity. Look, that brings us to the end of the speakers, so to speak. So it's probably worth now, isn't it, touching base with our poll to see if we've got a result. Now, am I correct that this poll is going to be called it? That's it. This is, so we can't take it to the Supreme Court. We can't ask for an injunction. This is it. The results are about to be revealed. And if I look, oh, here we go. The team four. We need the chance. Right. The team four has polled in at 67%. And the team against, that's 100 minus 68. That's, I don't know, it's a loss. It's a loss in anyone's term. It's a big loss. What about the postal votes? Well, you're a pigeons. You're pigeons. Just shut up. Looks like false news to me. Does anyone if you ever thought that you're trapped in a presidential debate, now is the time. Ladies and gentlemen, whether you participated around the world, whether you participated at home in the Barossa, whether you are interstate, intrastate, lockdown in Victoria or the like, I'd like to take the opportunity to say thank you for being a part of this, because again, what you're really doing is you're posing more questions than you're answering. The topic was that technology is the solution for the Barossa continuing to build its title as Australia's global food and wine region. There was a team for it, there was a team against, but if we've posed more questions to you, the technologist, the farmer, the pastry and baker, maker, the person on the street, if we've given you a few things to think about, then our job is done. To the FOMENT crew for putting on today, to all who've made this possible, and for those who have tolerated not only myself and Sam, obviously, I would say a hearty thank you, and to those that have won, congratulations, and those that haven't, stand luck. Now, what are we doing, right?
Stewie, sing us a song now.
It's the tap dancing.
Well, that's it. Take the winner. Barossa.
Yeah!
Right tomorrow. All the way from here to the coffee shop. So, thank you, everybody. That was great fun. Thank you for coming along. We will see you again next year for another Great Barossa Debate. Thank you again to Barossa Australia, Wine Australia, Entrepreneurs Facilitator Scheme, Minister for Primary Industries, Regional Development, Barossa Campus, and of course the people who bring FOMENT to you every year, New Venture Institute from Flinders University, Hydro Consulting, Wine Institute of Australia, and Stewie Moore.
I'm from Angaston.
Soul Growers.
Soul Growers.
What's that brand?
That brand again is Soul Growers, soulgrowers.com. Wines of Great Barossa distinction.
Thank you so much to the sponsors, to everyone involved in the program, to the participants, to all the participants, to the speakers. Thank you so much. Jess, Matt, Grant, Dave, Sam, Janelle, Paul, and Armando Hurtado, and hashtag Love Barossa, hashtag My Barossa. This is an amazing place. Thank you so much to everyone in the Barossa for filling us, for making us feel welcome and loved. And we've been visiting a lot of places, and it's just a unique experience to just connect with the people through technology or without technology. You can experience in a lot of different ways. The world has changed, and we need to find other ways to stay connected to the places we love. And Barossa is definitely one of them, with such unique characters, lovely people, so welcoming, and pearls. So I will explore the region, come and visit for the ones in Victoria, obviously when you can, for Western Australia. For all the other ones, come and visit as soon as you can. This is a place I will promise you will never forget. So thank you very much, everyone, and have a lovely evening. And let's just enjoy and network and feel as humans for a little while. Good night, everyone. Yes, my pleasure.
Barossa.com, plan your next holiday.
Job tech team.